Hi, we are learning about solving linear equations today. I know you've done this before, but it might be a little more in-depth than what you're used to, maybe not. I know I've got this when I can apply a general strategy for solving a linear equation, solve equations containing fractions and decimals, and recognize identities in equations with no solution. So the key vocabulary today is identity. So it's any equation that has an infinite amount of solutions. So when you get, like in your final answer, 2 equals 2, which is a true statement. So that would mean you have an identity and your answer would be all reals or all real numbers. So you can pause this and read. The main thing that I want to talk about with you is the very first thing. If you have fractions, multiply both sides of the least common denominator to clear out any fractions if they occur. Another thing that you can do if you have decimals is multiply by the lowest power of 10. That would clear out all decimals. All right, so number one. So 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 equals -9. All right, so we are going to use distribution. So let's see, we've got 2x plus 5x plus 5 equals -9. Okay, combine like terms. So you get 7x plus 5 equals 9, -9. Then I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides of the equation. And I would get 7x equals -14. Then I would divide by that 7 and get x equals -2. Again, you can pause the video at any time if you need more time to write it down. Um, 1b says 6a minus 5a minus 1 equals 4. So I'm going to put 6a. Now remember, I'm subtracting this whole set of parentheses, or it's like the same thing as multiplying by a -1. So I get -5a plus 1 equals 4. Combine like terms, 6a minus 5a is just 1a, plus 1 equals 4. Subtract the 1, and you get a equals 3. All right, 1c is one that you're going to do on your own. So go ahead and pause the video. The answer is c equals -6. Just let me know if you're having problems solving that. All right, so in example 2, now we're going to start dealing with fractions. So an easier way to do equations is if you multiply by the least common denominator, and that will get rid of all the fractions. So in this problem, the least common denominator between 3 and 4 would be 12. So if I multiply the equation by 12, 12 times 2 is 24, divided by 3 is 8. 1/4 of 12 is 3. And let's see, what is 12 times 22? Let me get my calculator and do that, and I'm getting 264. Okay, now I am going to add that. So 8x plus 3x is 11x equals 264. And if I divide 264 by 11, I get x equals 24. Okay, 2b, it says, actually this is 2a continued, but it's 2b. Okay, so solve this. So again, I have a fraction, so my least common denominator is my only denominator, which is 5. So in the first step, if I multiply this whole thing, 3 times y plus 3 over 5 by 5, the 5's will cancel out, and I will just have 3 times y plus 3. But I still have to multiply the 5 times every term. So 5 times 2y is 10y, and 5 times 6 is 30. Now it's just like a regular equation. So I'm going to distribute 3y plus 9 equals 10y plus 30. Combine like terms. So I'm going to subtract the 3y from both sides, so I will get a positive variable over here. So I'll get 7y plus 30. I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides, which would give me negative 21, sorry, negative 21. And then divide both sides by 7, and I would get y equals negative 3. Okay, so now in 2a, still, this is what I'm showing you. It's 2c though. So you have a lot of decimals. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by 100, because if I do, that means that all of these decimals will move over 2 spaces. Okay, so by multiplying the whole thing by 100, you're moving everything over 2 spaces. So that would give me negative 1 times 5a plus 4 equals 4 minus 1 times a plus 4. So you're not all the time going to multiply by 100. You multiply by whatever power of 10 gets rid of all the decimals. So like if you have 2 decimal places, you'd multiply by 100. If you have something with 3 decimal places, you'd multiply by 1,000. If you have 1 decimal place, you move it by 10. Okay, so now I'm going to distribute. So I get negative 5a minus 4 equals 4 times negative 1a minus 4. Now get like terms together. So the very first thing, remember, before I start moving anything from side to side, I'm going to combine like terms. So that actually will make the 4's will cancel each other out. So you just get negative 1a on that side. So I'm going to add 5a to both sides. And I get negative 4 equals 4a. Divide by that 4, and you get a equals negative 1. Okay, so now this is one that we're going to do together. All right, so what would you multiply by? What's the least common denominator? 4. So when I do that, the 4's would cancel each other out. So I get 6x, negative 6x plus 5, 4 times 1. And then the 4 times the negative 5x over 4, 4's would cancel. So you just get negative 5x. Combine like terms on the same side before you start moving things from one side to the other. Then you're going to add 6x to both sides. 9 equals x. Okay, the second one on this side is, I'm sorry, I'm going to put that back up just in case. Okay, so what would we multiply by to get rid of these decimals? You got 2 decimal places, so you need 2 zeros. So I get 5x plus 6 times x minus 1500 equals, add 2 zeros, 57,000. Okay, so I would get distribute now, 6x minus 6 times 1500 is 9,000. Okay, so I'm going to combine like terms, 11x. Now what would I do? Add 9,000 to both sides. I have one too many zeros over here, don't I? I can't get rid of that. Let's see. I want to move. There we go. Okay. So I get 11x equals 66,000. So if I divide that, I would get 6,000. So x equals 6,000 and e. All right. Okay, 3f. 2f, I'm sorry. What's the least common denominator between 4 and 8? 8. Okay, so 8 times 1/4 is 2x. The 8's cancel, so just get minus 3x, and 8 times 5 is 40. So 2x minus 3x is negative 1x. Divide by negative 1, and I get x equals negative 40. That was supposed to be one that you do. You're going to do the next one. Here we go. Try this. What would I multiply it by to get rid of those decimals? Pause the video. And that should be your answer. All right, example 3. Okay, let's solve this. So what would be the first thing that we would do? We would distribute. So I'm going to go 2x plus 2 plus 3x minus 7. Combine like terms. So 5x minus 5 equals 2x plus 3x is 5x. 2 minus 7 is negative 5. What do you notice? It's the same thing, which means that it is an identity. Now, what I want you to tell what I always tell my students is that you always work it out until you have no variables left. Okay? Once you get to a constant equaling the same constant, you can stop. But until then, you keep going. So it's all reals, all real numbers. This is what an identity is. It's identical. So both sides are identical. Since this equation will be true for every x that substitutes into the equation, the solution is all real numbers. All right, let's try this one. So 3x minus 7 equals, distribute 3x plus 3. If I subtract the 3x from both sides, it cancels and I get negative 7 equals 3, which is not true, so it's no solution. So since no value for the variable x can be substituted in this equation, that will make it a true statement. There is no solution. This is the symbol for no solution, by the way. All right, let's try this one. So combine like terms. So 12x, 3 minus 1 is a positive 2. 8x plus 4x is 12x minus 1. If you subtract your 12x from both sides, you will get 2 equals negative 1, which is an untrue statement, so it is no solution. All right, here you go. Pause the video and work these out, please. And your answer for D should be all reals, and your answer for E should be no solution. So you know you've got this when you can apply a general strategy for solving a linear equation, solve equations containing fractions or decimals, and recognize identities, all reals, and equations with no solution. Do you really understand? What are the first 2 steps in solving that? You first add 1 to both sides, then divide by 2. How do you clear any equation of fractions? You multiply both sides of the equation by the least common denominator. What is the solution to x plus 3 equals x plus 1? And explain. There are no solutions because when simplified, 3 does not equal 1 because you would subtract x from both sides and you would get 3 equals 1, which is not true. So it's no solution.